What's up, everyone out there in YouTube world? I am your host, as always, Musings with MGL. Welcome to another episode. I'm going to do a quick one here today about a new law that just passed in the great state of Florida. Again, this is going to apply to everybody else in the country as well, not in the sense that this law applies to them, but it could be a law that's coming towards you. If you've got draconian laws, it could be an example that other states decide to follow. So before I get into that, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the smash the subscribe button down there. Click the notification bell. Send me a like or a comment. I'd really like to get my numbers up to maybe grow the audience and see where we go from there. So thanks for watching as always, and tell all your friends. Now, what we're going to talk about here today is a new law that just passed in the state of Florida. So a little bit of a background on this law as well. Currently, prior to this law being passed in the state of Florida, there is what are called gun-free zones. Everybody knows about those, and they have schools. So any piece of property in the state of Florida that was designated a school, you could not have firearms on. That includes public schools, private schools, religious schools, etc., etc. And any entity that shared property with a school was also designated to be a school zone, even if part of their property was not for the school. So what you had was a problem where there were a lot of churches and synagogues and religious organizations that would have school on their property as well, whether it be Sunday school or daycare or pre-kindergarten or whatever. So even if you had, let's say, 10 buildings on the property, in one classroom, in one building, was your daycare, that would be considered a school, and the entire school property was considered a school zone, and you could not carry your firearm on that property, even when school was not in session. So if it's a daycare that operates Monday through Friday on the church property, and you go to church on Sunday, and the daycare's closed, there's no children there, there's no teachers there, guess what? You still cannot carry your firearm to church on Sunday, even though the school is closed and not in session, because that entire property is designated a school zone, even if school's not in session and even if only part of the property is designated for school. So it was creating a huge problem where a lot of these churches couldn't let their parishioners bring firearms to church on Sundays if they wanted to, because they were also a school zone. So what Florida did was they passed a law that gives the churches the choice as to what to do. In other words, a lot of people are misconstruing this law and being like, oh, well, that means you can bring guns on school property now, or you can bring guns to church, et cetera, et cetera. Well, no. The answer is basically they are leaving the issue up to the church organization itself. So if you have a church that says we're fine with people bringing firearms to our church, then they can bring firearms to the church now, even if they have a school on the property. Even if the school's in session, from the way I read the bill. But basically, they can pick whatever hour, and they can limit the hours. They can say, you know what, we're not going to have firearms on the school or on the property Monday through Friday because school's in session. But on Sunday, when you come to church, you can have firearms. It basically leaves the option up to the church to decide. The church could say, we don't want firearms at all, including on Sunday. And then that turns it into a gun-free zone again. And if you bring a firearm onto the gun-free zone, you're in violation of the churches. You can be trespassed, charged with a crime, et cetera, et cetera. So all it did was give the right back to the choices. It doesn't mandate that the churches allow you to carry firearms on the property. It doesn't mandate that you can't carry firearms on the property. It simply gives the property right back to the church or religious organization, synagogue, whatever you want to call it, to decide, do they want firearms on their property at all, and when do they want those firearms on their property? Okay, it's a property rights issue. A lot of people obviously are phrasing it a gun rights issue because guns are the big hot topic, but in my mind, and the people who sponsored the bill and promoted it basically referred to it as a property rights bill, because what it allows you to do is, as a property owner, you can decide, even if you've got a school on your property, whether you can have firearms on their rights on that property or not. And I perfectly agree with that. I mean, I'm against gun-free zones altogether. I mean, it's stupid to not have armed security at schools or armed teachers or whatever way you want to implement that. I'm always for that type of stuff. I think gun-free zones are just a big sign that says, hey, come kill me and come shoot me and rob my stuff because there's nobody here who's going to protect us. So you get that situation where the bad guys have the guns and the good guys don't, and everything goes downhill from there. So I'm pro having firearms on schools, with the people and the training and the teachers and all that kind of stuff. And what this allows is concealed carry permit holders to carry on the property. It's still the same rules apply. So again, the concealed carry weapon rules apply. It doesn't mean anybody can go in there with a firearm. You're still subjected to the standard rules of the state of Florida, which means that in order to conceal carry, you have to have a concealed carry permit. If you don't have a concealed carry permit and you bring a firearm on the property, then you're subject to being charged with carrying a concealed firearm and trespassing and everything else, just like you were before. All it does is give the church the individual right to make a decision on what it needs to do. So I encourage everybody to go read the bill. Specifically, you can just Google it. It's all over the place. It's SB 259 is the actual bill. So you can go to the Senate bill website, or you can go to the House bill website or whatever, and you can click the final version and read it. I challenge you to read it word for word. Don't just accept anything I say on here. I think I'm right on everything that I said, but I could always be wrong. It's happened once or twice before in my life. So make sure that you go read the bill and read the rules, and obviously check with your churches, because again, they're going to have to give public notices of what it is. So they're going to have to let people know what their rules are. So like anything else, you might want to go to the church website, look at the postings on the wall, et cetera, because since it is up to them, they're now essentially like any other store. If you're going to go to a Walmart, the Walmart may have a sign on it with a gun and a big X that says you can't bring the gun in there. Now that's you can still bring it in there and you're not going to get charged with anything unless they find out about it, and then all they can do is trespass you. It's going to be a little bit different because this is now going to be designated a school zone, but you should check with the church before you just decide to start carrying your weapon in there, and find out, just like everything else, find out what the rules and regulations and your rights are before you just start carrying a firearm so you don't get in trouble. So make sure you go read the rule. It's SB 259? 259. SB 259, state of Florida, as it relates to houses. Go read the rule, find out what your rights are. But this is finally a big victory here in Florida. We have some wishy-washy Republicans that aren't very pro-Second Amendment. I'm surprised they got anything through that's pro-Second Amendment. This actually sat on Governor DeSantis, and I love Governor DeSantis, but he's not super, super strong on the Second Amendment. It sat on his desk for a little while before it got passed. He hasn't done anything to try and repeal any of the horrendous stuff in the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act. They had constitutional carry died again in committee and never made it anywhere. So there's still a lot of ways to go for Second Amendment in the state of Florida, but this is a small victory. It's a good start. Hopefully it stays in there for forever, and nobody does anything stupid to make people regret having passed it. It's obviously going to get a bunch of negative publicity because of the gun grabbers, but as far as Second Amendment stuff goes, it's a small victory. We'll take it where we can get it. So keep that in mind. Go read the bill. Make sure you know all the rules and regulations before you do stuff. And as always, thanks for watching. Click, share, subscribe. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay vigilant, and as always, carry on.